coming down to
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening once again. We are back for the Triple Bypass Gen 4 Racing League Round 7 live from Talladega. I am James Parker, going to be joined in the booth by Kenton Sportac again this evening. Is going to come and join me for what plans to be some absolutely incredible racing. Thank you so much for joining us on the day when JPB have finally broken the 1,000 subscribers barrier. Now all we've got to do is get to 1,500 and we'll be happy here up in the booth. But overall, it's been an absolutely incredible evening racing so far. So if you've missed any of it, go back and take a look. So currently, what is the situation here in the Gen 4 Cup? Well, currently at the moment, as you can see from the scores on the doors, we have got Matthew Perezzini out in front, currently on 247 points. So we've got Al Corey on 230. Mizak Keshishian, I failed on that misery last time, on 217. Ben Harcum on 215. Carl Gracia on 198. Jason Benson on 197. Zach Roethlisberger on 193. Dustin Barton on 189. Justin Bentley on 186. Zachary Doust on 178. John Crutchley 173. John Campbell 169. And then we've got Ryan Traver on 144. Mark Herzog on 141, David Felt 120, Joshua Kona on 102, Dakota Floyd on 101, Patrick Dolbenberger on 100, Adam Schoen on 97, and Ryan Hyatt is there at the bottom currently on 85 points. And what an exciting evening it is going to be. But let's bring in Kenan. Now, Kenan knows a thing or two about this track here, guys, and will be able to provide me with all the information. So let's bring him in. Kenton, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Not bad. Not bad. Busy day.
That's good.
Still going.
Yeah.
Busy day. But overall,
always
it's been
fun.
good.
That's good. Oh, that's all you need, right? If you're having a good day, that's really all you need, whether it's longer or shorter. But yes, we are at the longest NASCAR oval race in terms of length. It's not how you want to go. That is not how to take that corner, just in case anyone is wondering. You definitely don't want to do that. But yes, it is the longest oval race at 2.66 miles, just beating out Daytona at 2.5. And then it's also considered, it used to be one of the longest in terms of length, in terms of like how long the race was, but then the Coke 600 now is the longest one. So, always was a fun race, though.
Yeah, it definitely was here. We got 69 laps of action, 3 sets of tyres, 1 fast repair, 2 green-white checkers, and we're expecting fuel to last between 30 and 40 laps. And it is currently the 69 driver appreciation event, as up in the top right-hand corner there. You can see it there as well, and one to definitely look forward to as we come into the last 3 minutes of practice. So there we go, we're just going to wait for practice to finish. Now I just want to give a big shout out to all the drivers that have partaken in sponsoring this league, of course, and making this all possible. The list of drivers there are on your screen currently at this moment in time. If I read them out for you, I would be here for a very long time, as there is a lot of them that have helped here in the Triple Bypass League, of course, putting this together and getting yourself, and if you want to get yourself involved, you can. There is 3 nights of racing. Sunday is the next gen, Tuesday 87 Legends, and Thursday is Gen 4, so you can get yourself involved. Discord links down in the description below. Mine and Kennan's links are down in there, the JPB website, the JPB leagues, Big Dream, everything is down in the description below, so you can get yourself involved one way or another with this absolutely incredible league, and you can go and join the Discord, so that would be absolutely amazing. Right, we've been here before. Now, we come up with the philosophy of the fact that, you know, it's Dega. You know, we left here calling it Sweet Home Alabama at one point, I believe. But what is the situation with Talladega? Because some people love it. Some people think, yeah, I can cope with this. Some people think, you know, what's the situation with it? Because I like it. I think the fact that you can jump in a Gen 4 car or a NASCAR Cup and just go full bore round a circuit is incredible. But why is it not everybody's cup of tea?
I mean, the biggest reason why it comes down to not being everyone's cup of tea is the style of racing seems very simple. Keep your foot down, turn left a little bit, go straight again. It doesn't seem as technical as, you know, someone looking at a road race, or you see like even the cars, the next gen cars driving around Coda, things like that. You're like, well, there's a lot more going on. It's much more technical. But they don't realize a lot of the time that how much goes into actually driving these cars at these speeds, because these guys will be reaching, I'd say, over 300 kilometers an hour, or around 200 miles per hour. Yeah, see, around 300 kilometers per hour, right on schedule there. The entirety of this race, outside of obviously safety cars or lifting for a crash, things like that. And this speed is also this car and Barton going completely by himself. Now, what will happen in the race is you're going to have guys lined up, one beside each other, right, bumper to tail the entire way, as long as, barring something crazy going on and crashes and all that stuff. But drafting is super hard. It throws your aerodynamics all over the place. Wind doesn't go over the car the same, so you have to deal with that while you're coming into and out of corners. You don't get quite the same downforce on the top of the car that you would normally get driving completely alone. So it can definitely lead to spins like that. right on cue for us. Getting squirrely coming out of the lines. As you're going around corners, you start to end up drifting a little bit. You'll see guys kind of wiggling their way coming out of the corners, and that's always dangerous because you slightly bump somebody, that can lead to a whole bunch of collisions behind you as you get turned around, heading into the walls, things like that. So it seems like such an easy thing when you don't know kind of how it all works, or if you're just looking at it from a very boiled down broad view. But there's way more that goes into even just putting the pedal down and turning left at long track super speedways. So I can get it.
Yeah, these cars seem very different to the Cup Series, the Gen 4s. We've seen them before here, of course, with the triple bypass as well. But at the end of the day, the Cup Series seems a lot more stable. We didn't see half of the spins as we're seeing here. We didn't see half as much control. Then, they're driving around 650 horsepower, right? Which is the ARCA series, and the Gen 4 is 725. So how big a difference is that? What are we looking at in relation to the Cup car compared to what we're looking at with the Gen 4 on the screen at the moment?
The Gen 4 compared to the ARCA obviously has a lot more power. With a lot more power comes a lot more speed. Once you start reaching those higher speeds, a lot more incidents can occur because you can lose your car very easily. The biggest thing the Gen 4, I would say, compared to the, Gen 7s or the next gen cars, outside of obviously just a lot of power, like the new ones are V8 naturally aspirated, they're 5.86 liter, like they're big engines and they're powerful. Like these things will get up and go. But the biggest obvious issue is going to be what actually happens when they crash. They did a lot of work with the next gen cars to keeping them pinned down so you don't get blowovers. Gen 4 is not too bad, but that's always going to be one thing. And then the other big, very noticeable thing when you even just looking at the car, you can see it, is the Gen 4 has this sort of, the rear end almost looks like it's stepped sideways. Like the car looks crooked while it's driving straight. And that's just an aerodynamic thing because obviously turning left the whole time, they're trying to get as much wind on the inside of the car to pull it around while trying to push as much to the outside of the car so it has an easier time turning. With the next gen cars or the current Cup car, they are symmetrical. There's no lean. They don't have any bodywork designed for that. They kind of just rely on a little more downforce under the car, which most, generations of these cars have never done. So this is actually fairly new in the next gen stuff. But these Gen 4 ones without that, so they can get a little more squirrely, a little easier. But a little bit of damage to them isn't as detrimental either if they don't lose quite as much time as a next gen car will. If its front bumper's all busted in, it will still hurt, but they'll have a little bit more ability to sort of maintain speed as they go through.
There you go. I told you, he knows everything. If there's anything that you need to know, please put it in chat and Kenton will answer. He knows everything possible that we have here. So, you know, fire away, guys, fire away. Don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up because that would be absolutely amazing. We have come to near the end of qualifying. We've got a few cars left out on track at the moment as well. I'm not quite sure. Is he facing the wrong way or was that just my eyes there? Or Oliver Turan? Okay, maybe my eyes deceived me and he wasn't facing the wrong way, but I'm pretty sure he was. So there we go. Just as well, Tyler Merritt is out on track currently at this moment in time. On the car number 53 there, of course, the American. We've got one Australian, 2 Canadians here tonight. Canadian, fellow, how can I put it? Canadians.
Canucks.
Is that how you call them?
We're Canadians, we're Canucks, yeah, or at least most, depending on, I guess, who you want to talk about. But yes, typically Canadians and Canucks interchangeable around the world, apparently. I've been informed.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, Vancouver, Washington. He is sneaky. That's not Canada.
Well,
There's a secondary Vancouver. I forgot about that. There's one Vancouver in the U.S. too.
Okay. Well, I'll leave you to argue that one out. We're just coming to the end of qualifying now, guys, as well. So we will be able to bring you up the current grid state here this evening as well. Now, as always, we have got a few drivers there, not putting times in currently, but Jason Benson is on pole. John Crutchley second, Carl Grzyk in third, Justin Bentley fourth, Oliver Turan in fifth, Keith Hanlon sixth, James Lawson seventh, John Campbell eighth, Zach Dowse ninth, Derek Catt in 10th, Ben Harcum and Matt Perezzini is in 11th and 12th place. Then beyond that, Ryan Traver, Ryan Kemper, Sid Kashishian, Joshua Kona, John Barton, John Creedler, Tyler Merritt, and is that Liana or Iliana? Iliana Hamilton in 20th, Dustin Barton 21st, David Feet 22nd, Al Corey 23rd, Brian Cooper is in 24th, and then Douglas Bramble at the back in 25th. 25 car field here this evening, and one that is definitely gonna get spicy. 25 cars is always spicy.
Yeah, 25 cars on this track. You're going to be hoping and praying that the guys around you or the people around you aren't getting squirrely coming out of final corners, or turn 2 and turn 4, or aren't squirrely in the corner, because these cars can be with a little bit more power than the ARCA car. It does let them get a little dicier, and obviously without having the same downforce that the next gen is, they're a touch harder to control going through those corners. So you really got to be careful, and yeah, you kind of have to hope that whoever's around you has control, because a crash near the front in this field could be pretty decimated very quickly.
Okay, well, that could explain why we've got a few drivers at the back. Al Corey is one of them as well. Brian Cooper is also at the back there as well, as we can see these cars go flashing past us here from the start-finish line at Talladega Superspeedway. So guys, it's that time of the evening again. Get your drinks, grab your popcorn, sit back, relax, chill out, enjoy it, and pay attention, because trust me, it's going to be exciting, and I feel there could be a lot going on. Now, out of preference of who you think's gonna win, if I said to you who you think's gonna win, now let me give you some stats before you decide to go and pick that as well, right? Perezzini leads the points and has completed every single race as Matt Perezzini. He's currently down in 10th, mind you. Now, we haven't got Roethlisberger on the grid this evening, which is a bit of a shame, actually, for him, because every race he's entered, he's won. So, where would you sit back and go, he's going to win, they're going to win, who's going to win?
I'm going to go with not those last 2 cars. I've seen the Nuka-Cola have a few bumps here. But you know what? I'm going to go with Perezzini. For 2 reasons. 1, he's had a lot of points. 2, he's a fellow Canadian.
Yeah, there's no UK. So I'm going to go, I was going to say I'm going to go for the next best thing and pick John Campbell, but I'm sure he's not going to be too impressed with that, the way I put that. So sorry, John, I didn't quite mean it as quite as I sounded there. But I feel the Australian John Campbell is going to do the job for me today. So I'm going to write these down. We should really set up a point score system, shouldn't we, between me and you? Because we're doing it with the BSC, picking the final four. So maybe we should do a Broadcasters Championship as well. But here we go, guys. The lights are going to be going out very shortly, of course. Once more, we're going to be into the Geico restart zone, and then we're going to be green, green, green. So here we go now with Jason Benson at the top, leading us away. You can see the Geico restart zone on the left-hand side. Is he going to be going? I believe he is already gone, and let's go racing once more here at Talladega Superspeedway with Jason Benson, Carl Griesick, John Crutchley, Oliver Turan and Justin Bentley are currently out in front in your top 5. Now, last time we were here, there was 2 lines, okay? We saw the 2 lines, but that was with a completely different car altogether, right? That was with the Cup car. What do we think here? The drivers have been warned about bump drafting, okay? They've been warned about it, and they've been explained that obviously, if you're going to do it early on, if you're going to cause a problem, and you're going to be harshly penalised. So, what's your philosophy? You're in a Gen 4. You're at Talladega. It's full flat. What's your philosophy trying to then survive this if you can't use the normal techniques of sitting up right behind somebody, giving them a little nudge?
I mean, you just got to utilize that air gap. So you can see kind of I believe that's the 48 and the 16 on that high line. And even though it's just 2 of them compared to the 3 down below, they're working really well. They're maintaining that gap. There's no like getting closer, then backing off, then getting closer. And basically what that allows to do is there's an air pressure that sort of builds up between the 2 cars, and it allows kind of hit I believe it's the 16 who's behind, the 48 there. It allows him to sort of push him along while he's cutting the air. So he's staying in the slipstream sort of thing, but at the same time, he's using the air pressure built up between the cars to push the 48 ahead of him along as well. And that's kind of the way you have to do it if you're not bump drafting, as it will allow you to sort of utilize a lot of the bump draft aspects without causing or running the risk of causing an incident. And these cars with the fronts of them aren't very flat, so bump drafting does get a little dicey in them, because you have to line it up really well and hope the person ahead of them doesn't move at all, because that can obviously lead to a fun spin and a very short day for some people.
Yeah, you can see him here. Touchwood at the moment. Everybody seems to have survived. There is a bit of a gap from Al Corey backwards, which was a little bit surprised this early on. The fact that they've got a kind of a 3-second gap back down in 27. You see them just coming around past the screen now. So it's going to be tough, I think, in the track in general. We sit here and say it's full flat, there shouldn't be a problem, they should just be able to go, 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 go. But that's the thing when we talk about NASCAR over in the UK or Europe, we just sit there, they just turn left and put the foot on the floor, and then that's about it, and then hey presto. But over this year, since we've done these various series, we're learning more and more. Like, I'm learning more and more as it goes on, and obviously we realise there's strategy involved, there's fuel, there's yellow flags, there's going in, there's not going in, there's 2 tyres on the right, 2 tyres on the there's a whole group of different perspectives to NASCAR racing than what generally people expect currently at the moment. And we've got Jason Benson currently sitting out in front in the 42 car, of course, being pushed along by Oliver Turan. So this is going to be really interesting, I think. But explaining this to a European, well, sometimes you might as well speak French, I think, because they just do look back and just go, foot in the throttle, turn left.
Yeah, I mean, navigating kind of lanes is a big one. So the fact that there's 2 lanes, 2 very distinct lanes in Talladega is a great way to show it. Not every track will be like this. Obviously, we've talked about like places like Dover or even some of the little bit smaller like Kansas, and then you go to places like Auto Club where there's like 9 different lanes you can take. Because there's just so many options. So it all comes down to what track you're at. how things can kind of play out. And then obviously with it being flat out, you have to really, as a car not in the front, so the 42 and I believe that's the 27, sorry, those two cars, they're at the front. They actually have one of the easier ends of things because they just pin it and keep it straight. Like, that's really what they need to focus on. Those are their two big things at this point. Whereas when you have, if you're the cars just behind them, so if you're looking at the, I think it's the 002 and I think that's the 48 there. If you're those cars, or even, the ones just behind them, you're having to figure out, okay, well, when do I need to lift going into this corner? Because you're going to have so much speed, and unlike the car ahead of you, you will hit the back of their car if you don't lift a little bit. And it's not a lot, and you're taking off maybe 15 to 20%, but you still have to know, okay, I can lift here. You have a car behind you, don't lift too much, so you get bumped from in the back there. You're taking, so you don't get as much of that airflow over the top of your car that the car ahead of you does. So you're now having to also navigate the car with very little actual aerodynamic benefit of the wind. So if you're a lower car, things like that, going below the apron is very not advised, and especially in this kind of race where if you, that's an interesting, as we start to go 3 wide, that's not what you want to see this early. Nope, you don't want to be 3 wide if you can avoid it. You can on this track. It is a little wider than places like Daytona, but it does get real sketchy. Those top lanes are never the most fun to have to drive around. It's typically all marbled up of old tire pieces and things like that. So I don't suggest doing it often, as they did come out of that actually fairly unscathed. But there's a lot of factors that kind of come into it.
Yeah, there definitely was. Now, I think that James Lawson in the 66 there dropped down and took the apron wise. Now, you could see that when he tried to come back up as well, the car was not loving the banking, either. And I think that's one of the things that these guys are going to have to remember is if they are going to drop down onto that apron, they've got to try and deal with 33-degree banking, 32.4 in 3 and 32.4 in 4, and then 16 on the tri-oval. It's not just a flat run straight back up again. It's going to bounce that car, and there was a lot that could have gone wrong there, and lucky for James, he got away with it this time, but I wouldn't like to be seeing that every single time. And from John Campbell's point of view, my boy in the Dunkin' Donuts livery there as well, from Melbourne in Australia, that could have been a very drastic moment because of the fact that obviously he's trying to come back up on a bank curb, which is never easy, is it, at the best of times, let alone trying to do it here as well. And you can see that just in front of Perezzini there, I think that's Dustin Barton in the car, and obviously we've seen Dustin have a few moments, should we say, in practice as well. I wouldn't want to be driving around under the apron, and I certainly wouldn't want to be trying to get back up on the track from it.
No, yeah, the back straight's a little bit easier, as it's only 3 degrees. But yes, coming on a corner, trying to get up, it's so angled that it actually makes it very hard to sort of get your car to come up smoothly. So doing it in the corner is very, very much frowned upon. Because as soon as you come up there, your one tire loses a little bit of the load of the car, and you're suddenly sent spinning, or you lose kind of traction in any grip, and you go up, meet the wall, and cut off in front of somebody, and that can lead to obviously a whole lot of problems. On straightaways, like coming out of turn 4, heading into the tri-oval, it's not terrible. But this track, there's just not a lot of apron, and it with the way it's banked in the tri-oval, going down to the apron doesn't really work the same as in some other places. I know I think it's Nashville or Michigan. There's one of those two. It might even be both, where you can actually drop down, and it's not the way to do it, but it is a way to do it. To go through that tri-oval near the finish line, the start-finish line there. So there, again, it comes down to the track itself. But yeah, in Talladega, unless you absolutely have to go down below the apron, you're going to want to try and avoid it. And I know in a lot of races in real life, it's actually, you're not allowed to go underneath. the yellow line unless like there's an accident and you're forced under it, like someone comes down and basically pushes you down below it. But if you pass under the apron, you immediately have to give the place back and stuff like that. So it's not always the best option to take. Staying obviously on track would be easier. Plus you're then not having to deal with any dust or debris that's on the inside of the track. Obviously that's not where you're driving, so there's a lot higher chances of there being a spin once you get on there, just because your tires won't have the same grip they would on the actual track itself.
See, that's quite interesting, because I remember having a conversation with a very experienced driver from the BSC about, I was looking at COTA, and you say about the apron and these guys not being able to go below, and they're not going to be able to steady on the outside there. Take it easy there. That's Derek Catt. Seems to be taking a very high line. Wasn't far away from the wall at all. Oh, there's a big switchback further on as well from the 002. Oliver Turan come and took the nose off car number 66 there. That was James Lawson as well. He took the gap. But we were talking about COTA and the fact that basically if it's tarmac, you can use it, regardless if it's outside the curb limit, if it's outside. And I watched the NASCAR series there, and basically they were literally at one of the turns just taking the inside tarmac that was inside the curbing of the actual corner. You know, I just find it quite interesting. If you drop down below the apron, you make a pass, you got to give it back. But yeah, at COTA, you can just drive wherever you like. I just kind of somehow sit back and think, well, you know, we're going to make rules late. Let's try and negotiate the rules around for everyone, and not just who you feel and where you're at. I think that's the weirdest thing. But me, as a European commentator, doing this sort of thing, is the fact that the rules change so often, and depending on where they are, a bit more consistency. That's what I'm going.
Yeah, I agree. A little more consistency would be good, because it does save a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I actually allowed to do? Where can I go here? He saved it. He saved it. That almost ended horribly, very, very quickly.
Josh Comer there as well. And the interesting thing is Josh in chat who's put, this is going to be fun. Well, it nearly was for you, sir.
It nearly got very exciting.
But yeah, but boy, oh boy, did he save it as well, because he got wildly out of control there as well. And manages to save it with 14 laps in. Surely we're not looking at Deg already on the tyres, because that wouldn't be something that I would be expecting this early on at this track, to be fair.
No, it was more likely, I'd say, a case of a little bit of tunnel vision. You start focusing on the car ahead of you so much that you kind of lose where you are on the track, and it tends to cause you to drift a little bit, especially if the car in front of you even starts drifting. And then you just run a risk of introducing your wall or your door to the wall, and that's not the most ideal way to drive around the track, contrary to what Ross Chastain tried doing. That doesn't really work all that great all the time. So, yeah, you want to try and keep it off of there if you can.
Oh, I'm glad you brought him up earlier on. Well, I showed you, didn't I? I was testing the overlay for tonight, and Ross Chastain was in the session. Now, the unfortunate thing for that is Ross Chastain disconnected from the session before the race started. Now, I don't know if it was really him. I don't know. I just got a bit excited for him both moment that he was there as well. Now, my issue at the moment is Trevor, Corey and Cooper are losing time. Like, they've just lost nearly 3 seconds as well here. But yet, they're working together in a draft. Why, then, are they dropping back so much in conjunction with the pack?
So, right there. That's the reason. You can see, so the 96 is losing the gap. He keeps backing off a little bit, but they're also not staying straight. Like, you can see them obviously coming around the corner there. You want to tuck in to that line, and all three of you be in that line. Once they come off the corner, you can see they kind of wiggle around a little bit. They're not staying in that straight line, so you actually are kind of losing. And then once you start going too far to the outside, you start creating what's called a side draft. Once you start side drafting a car, you both end up losing time. The other thing that does not help them is the fact that there's 3 of them, and the front group is still really tight. Like, there's a very uniform gap going on between that front pack there. and because they're able to work together, but yeah, like going out wide like that, that does nothing to help them. So it's really kind of two-ish of them. Whereas you can see, right now they're gotten very, very wide up front, as you are going 3 wide going into this corner, or into the tri-oval there and heading into it. You've got almost 4 here. Again, doable at Dega, not advisable very often. For that reason there, yeah.
Josh Koner again nearly causing his own little dramas there. They're trying to run it up front. They're all getting a little bit squirrely now. We're getting into that interesting section of the race where they're all getting a little bit loose, a little bit soft. Deck-wise, what do we think on Talladega here? You know, going in, clearly we think between 30 and 40 laps anyway. But going in, what are we looking at tyre-wise? Are they going to change all 4? What's the situation, do we think?
With Talladega, it's very similar to Daytona in the sense that it's not disastrous, or it doesn't really degrade the tires super hard. You could probably, if you wanted to push it, as the 71 gets a little loose, is he going to come back up? He's going to try and keep it low, but I'm not sure if he got twisted or what happened, or if he just turned a little bit too much, but yeah, that sent him right into the apron. He was able to keep it out of everybody else, but yeah, really close to causing a very drastic issue for that front pack there. Which then would have obviously cascaded all the way through the back.
Yeah, and Zach Dowse there as well. The unfortunate thing for him is he's now dropped all the way down to 21st place and is now driving on his own with a 1.9 second gap in front and a 13 second gap behind. If he's not careful, he could lose a lot of time here as well, and it's going to be very difficult to get back onto the pack and try and gain that position and stay with them, because he has lost an absolute chunk of time currently at the moment. So poor old Zach there, down now in 21st place, just from one squirrely mistake. What do we?
He's pretty much already lost that.
Yeah, he's well down. I don't think his gain is now 3.2 seconds as well. So I don't think anything he's going to be able to do at the moment, apart from rely on pit stops as well. It's an interesting one, as I think, looking at what we were looking at in practice here as well, Kenton, and the fact that there was cars going off quite a lot. To the fact that we've managed 20 laps with 49 to go and we've not had one incident so far, I think is a testament to these guys in considering what we were witnessing in practice. It was very difficult to realise what I think they were trying to achieve in practice, whether or not they were running different lines, whether or not they were trying different things. But there was a good few little spinners and that on track during practice. But so far, touch wood, lap 21, and we're still green. So hopefully.
Yeah, if anyone gets taken out in the next couple laps, we're just gonna fully blame James on that one. But it's been really clean so far. Commentator's curse right there. I can see it. It's been amazingly clean. There's been a couple of close calls, we'll call them, that have led to a little bit of tense moments, but they've kept it very clean. The little extra space that you're kind of given does help compared to Daytona, where you've got 2 lanes, and if you want to go wide at all, you're hitting the wall, and that's just going to cause a whole lot of problems. Whereas here, there is that 3rd lane coming all through, so it does make it a little easier. But yeah, a lot of these guys are going to be sort of trying to fuel save as best they can, because we had talked about it. Yeah, it's 30 to 40 laps depending on how you run it, and obviously if you're in the draft, you're saving a lot of fuel because you're not having to put as much power down to get as far with that sort of utilization of the draft. But they're not going to be pushing super hard, so that also does help at this time when you're just trying to keep yourself in a good position, minimal damage as you can, and then in the back half of the race really start trying to focus on getting yourself in a spot where you can go for the win.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one currently at the moment, because Zach Dowse, who we saw drop down into the inside after getting a little bit squirrely, he's actually closer to the back 3 than he is to the top pack currently at the moment. He's got 11 seconds in front, 7.5 behind. It's probably not going 3 wide would be a good suggestion, but also for Zach, it's going to probably benefit him more dropping back into that pack to try and pull that pack forward, of course, to give him some assistance, because right about now he hasn't got any. And the gap behind is currently now 6.8, so he's going to have to be a little bit more careful as we're going round here once more on lap 24, of course, live from Talladega for the Triple Bypass Gen 4 Cup Racing League here, and one that I think could get spicy. This is the thing that always scares me when I sit here and watch this, is the movement in and out, in and out, in and out. You know, they almost remind me of a snake going across the ground. It's just wiggling constantly, and we sit here and we talk about the fact to stay in line, stay in uniform, go one behind the other, don't do it, don't, you know, and then something generally happens, and then we sit back and go, well, we told you to. But how big of a deal is it for these drivers to sit in a line for somebody, you know, because it's hard enough for me turning left and right when I'm trying to go around a racetrack. These guys are going one way, and we're asking them to stay directly in a line with the person in front of them. It's not an easy feat by any short of the mean, is it, Billy? It's not just, oh yeah, I'll go 45 degrees and sit here with him. Do you know?
Yeah, it definitely gets a lot tougher. Obviously, as the race goes on, you start losing weight with the fuel, things like that. It will get a touch easier because your car's a little more nimble. It's a little easier to control. You don't have the weight kind of pulling you around. But yeah, it's the aerodynamics make it a lot tougher. Those secondary cars, things like that. And then obviously, if you have a car ahead of you that's weaving, it's hard to really maintain the draft that you're trying to pull in, and it causes you to lose out on that draft. And once you lose out on your draft, well, what happens to you is exactly what's happened to Zach there. You drop back real fast. So once you're out of that draft, that's not a good thing. And I mean, we see guys kind of going up lanes and then down lanes and things like that. And obviously, it causes some issues for some of the other drivers, because now you have to be really cognizant of what that guy could do, and making sure that there's no gap so he can get down, but that he's not going to try and force a gap and kind of try and push you out of the way, sort of thing. So thankfully, we haven't seen any of that happening yet, but there's been a few kind of transitions from the high line to the low line. But it's all about finding which line works for your car, and also at the same time, which line is going to work with the guys around you. And if you're trying to push on that high line with just 2, and the bottom end of things has 4 guys all working together, they're going to have more momentum, more power, and they're going to go past you pretty quick. So it's all about taking opportunities when you can. But yeah, without there being bump drafting, a car wiggling a little in front of you is a little safer. If they were bump drafting, once that car starts to wiggle, you're almost guaranteeing that there will be a huge crash very quick.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. They just said, they didn't turn around and say you're not able to. They just turned around and said it's probably discouraged from bump drafting, and especially basically if you bump draft and cause a wreck, you're going to be penalised quite heavily. So for these drivers, they've got to try and pick what's going to be the best way, what's going to be the best deal, oh man. That moving up and down they've got to be sat there being careful on that. And that was currently Justin Bentley, went from the bottom to the top, and now sat behind the 69 here of Joe Barton. Barton has been out in front. They have swapped again. Yeah,
it's those going up those lines, you really have to make sure that gap is there, because if you go and there's no gap and you end up hooking a guy's quarter panel and sending him backwards, it's going to lead to huge problems for not only yourself, because you'll get penalized, but everyone behind you will obviously be a little bit unhappy with you. Yeah, I mean, getting out that high, especially as he bumps the wall there, that's not going to help. That'll slow him down a little bit as well. But now he has no draft, so like you can see in real time him just dropping straight back. Like he was up near the front and now is down at the back there. So it's not the best thing to get out of the lane. But yeah, right now with the way he's right, like you can see him losing time and losing that gap just from one corner. So you definitely want to stay in that line.
Oh, yikes!
Starting to get a little squirrely.
Oh, that was a 78 of Ben Harcum there. Got a big old wiggle on, and then it kind of settled in again, but boy, oh boy, that could have been more scary for the whole of these pack as well, because they're right at the front and there is going to be nowhere to go for the pack behind them unless you head down, well, across the grass, really. I think that would have been probably been the safest bet there as well. Just an update on Zach. He is now on the back of Ryan Traver, Al Corey, Brian Cooper as well. So Zach now lost so much time. It is now dropped down into the group, and this group is now 4, where it was initially 3. At one point, as we say, he was closer to the backpack than he was to the front. After his moment that made him drop down on the inside apron, but these 4 are going to be trying to work together. Might be a little bit easier in 4, but as you say, they're not really staying together and keeping it as they should. But sitting here up in the booth saying they should be doing one thing is completely different to what's going to be happening in the car, of course. These guys up front still sitting side by side in 2 lanes. We have got a little bit of a fractured area at the back. Matt Peruzzini and Oliver Turan moving slightly back a bit as well. John Campbell is now in the bottom line on the inside on the Dunkin' Donuts car, but it's kind of James Lawson, John Kriebler behind them are slowly dropping off. They've got to decide where they're going to go as well on the outside. The 13 car of Dustin Barton kind of running around on his own. Can't really decide if it's top, bottom, middle, round, what's going to happen, apart from probably staying safe, because I suppose if he is back there, he can kind of see what's gone on with the pack and might get that a little bit more time to react than some of the guys who are driving bumper to bumper.
Yeah, it'll give him at least a little bit of time. He might be able to kind of sneak his way through a crash or anything like that. And obviously, if the longer you can keep your car pointed forwards with no damage, the better chance you have of getting a win there. As we can see, I believe that's Barton in front of Harcum here. Just a little wiggly coming out of that corner there, and it's getting a little bit of a drift going on as he comes into turn 1 and 2 here. And that's obviously not what you want, but the 27, and he's doing what I was talking about earlier with that side drafting, and basically what it does is it forces some of the air of your car to hit the car beside you, which is why it causes it to slow down. So the car is not only getting the air it's directly trying to get through, but is also now getting air pushed from the car beside them. It works better on the outside of these cars, especially in the next gen ones. As you can see that little shark fin on the 27 there on the left-hand side. So because of that, it does help deflect a little bit of that back off the car. But if you're on this side, they don't have that. They don't have that sort of shark fin sort of idea, or that little tail wing there, I guess, on the right side of the car. So it does have a little bit more effect, as it will cause it to actually get up over and hit the tail wing of the car there. So the rear wing, I guess, of the car there. So it does make it a little more effective on the outside line, but it slows both cars down and gives you a little bit better of a fighting chance to kind of stick with it to guys, especially on the inside lane tech. Ooh, as we get a little contact up ahead here. But yeah, it gives you a little shot on that outside line when you are technically traveling a little bit farther, because you are a little further outside the corner.
Yeah, it does make me laugh sometimes when we look at the rear wing on these cars, especially on the Cup cars, and on the Gen 4 it's a little bit higher up, of course. You can see it's more predominantly out the back there as well. But one of the things I noticed is sitting in the cockpit there with Matt Peruzzini, looking forward, you can basically it literally physically looks like somebody's gone, we need to stick a wing somewhere, so we'll bolt it here. There we go. And it's almost like they picked a bit of plastic or a bit of metal and just bolted it to the back end of the car there. You can see the bolts running across the back line. There's like, 2, 4, 6 bolts just kind of holding almost something in that somebody almost forgot to put on. And that's what makes me laugh when I sit back at this, because obviously, used to F1 and there's bits sticking out all over the place. All sorts of aerodynamics going on. And these cars are just so basic. It's like, there we go, there's the car, go for your life. Do you know what I mean? I think there's where that whole stock car kind of heritage comes into it. That's what they've done with these cars. They've just stuck the wing and just gone at that. There we go, done.
Yeah, it's funny because stock cars. I mean, they've done a much better job in the recent ones, but they were made to look identical to their cars, and then I mean this comes from the origin, I guess, of NASCAR as a sport, which it was you literally showed up with your car and just drove whatever car you were using. So it is funny. Like the Chevy Impala looks, if you kind of squint a little bit at it, it kind of looks like its street version. But obviously the next gen ones very much look like, you know, the Toyota Camry, the fronts, especially the Chevy Camaro, Ford Mustang, stuff like that. And the main reason behind it is it was meant to be your car. So obviously they're much more modified, but they wanted to kind of have that sort of look to it. So yeah, them kind of bolting things on, again, it came from sort of their origins. And I mean, it's really funny too, if you ever watch a NASCAR race and someone loses or gets some damage to a body panel and things like that. In F1, you get a little damage to, like, say your side pod, you're pretty much done. There's nothing, they're not going to be able to really do anything. In NASCAR, you lose a fender, duct tape's on its way. They will make you one. If you got a dent in here, all right, grab those hammers, let's hammer this thing out here. Like, there is zero care. It's duct tape, hammers, and screws. If you can't fix it, too bad. We'll just tear the thing off. Or sawzalls, that's the other big one. They'll just straight cut off pieces if they have to. And I mean, it's the difference of why Formula One is super based on aerodynamics. Like, everything comes down to aerodynamics. Whereas in NASCAR, it's not nearly as much of a necessity to have a super aerodynamic car. It obviously helps, but they will straight up just cut pieces off. You'll see cars driving without a hood in Cup Car, in NASCAR, depending on the track and how the races has gone and stuff. But yeah, seeing duct tape on them, that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I've noticed it's kind of more getting it back on it. I think at one point I was watching a race and they basically got the angle grinder out and was pulling the front left wheel arch away from the wheel, but he couldn't get it off, so he was there angle grinding it away in the middle of the race, which I just found completely baffling. But as you say, it was literally getting it out on it, and at the end of the day, it kind of gives it where it came from, didn't it? I think with NASCAR as well, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You've got your car, you're going to race it, you're going to finish the race, whether you've got 4 bits on it, 5 bits on it, 6 bits on it, 7 bits on it, or a whole car, you're going to finish it. We've got a few in the pits. Bentley's jumped in, Katz jumped in, and Creedler's jumped in as well. Ryan Traver is still leading this pack away, of course, there as well, with Zach Dowse, Dal Corey, Brian Cooper. These four slowly closing back up, and I am going to say slowly because it has come down a little bit from the 20 seconds. It seems a 4-car train is working better for these guys than the 3-car did as well. And Zach Dowse kind of did this group a favor in a way by dropping back into it, which seems ironic, but at the end of the day, it's kind of worked out quite nice for them as well. There was a few heading down into the pit lane. Currently at the moment, they've dropped down on the inside. There's a big gaggle. Whoa! That's not how you go in. Oh, contact as well from the 53. Tyler Merritt tagging the 55 there of Keith Hanlon. Tyler get all out of squirrely in the pits there. That was just incredible entry into the pit lane. But I think from Perezzini and this front group of Benson, Crutchley, Barton, Turan, Comer and Kashishian have probably done this right here, because we talk about this on a regular basis and we talk about going into the pits and how they're going to go in and what's going to be the best way of going in and things like that. And at the end of the day, we're finding the less cars you're entering into the pit lane with, the better entry and exit you seem to be able to achieve, because of the fact that you're not looking for the next car, you're not having incidents like that, you're not having problems getting out. You know, there's a lot more involved than just driving straight down into the pits here. And I think from these points of view for these guys, they've got to be very careful and pit their moments. I would be looking for more trying to go in on my own or at least at some point where I'm not surrounded by about 13 and 14 cars that went in all at the same time there. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah. Because the moment you start going in, you want to be able to have a very clear braking point. You want to get down to speed, or pit lane speed, and then you want to be able to kind of just go, like get to your spot, get your stuff out, get back off. And so you're gonna see this little group here. So having 4 or 5 like this, you have a much higher chance. Although the 42 did not do it well, but you have a higher chance of avoiding incidents like that. And even with the 42 making that mistake, unlike with the 53, there was no one for him to hit. He was able to keep it out of the way, get his stuff in, get it. So like for Parisian, if he hadn't overshot his pit box like he did, you're in, you're out, you get your fuel, you're gone. And you're not having to sit there and wait for the car ahead of you to slow down. You're not having to wait for, get out of the way of this car trying to get down into its pit lane or pit box and stuff like that. Like, it just leads to, there's too many other variable factors that can come in that can cause a bigger problem if you go in with a bigger group. And like, it's looking like this might actually work out. Like Barton's coming out, Pruzini is coming out. Like, all these guys are going to come out, and there's a chance that they actually come out ahead of the front group of cars here. And obviously, I think Turan hasn't come in yet, I don't think.
No, Turan and Coma haven't come in yet. They didn't get out in front of the group. Grisic and Perezzini didn't clear the cars in front. We've got obviously the number 2 there as well. That's Derek Catt. I think Derek must be running on the same lap, but it seems that he's registering down in 20th place at the moment. But yeah, he's on the same lap as Carl Grisic behind. I'm a little bit confused about that one. I don't think he is down that low, I've got to be honest, from Cat. So we'll give it a minute to see if it settles down. If not, we'll give it a quick reload and see what happens there. But somebody on the same lap, sitting behind somebody up front, cannot be that far back, I don't think. Yeah, I think we're going to have to give it a minute, I think, at this point, because it's got second there, and never mind. It will catch up, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, okay, so yeah, Persini ended up not getting ahead of the front, I guess 2 ahead of him, but he's now in a net 3rd place. So he didn't lose as much as, someone else, and I will slightly contribute that personally to him overshooting his pit box. Which is always going to take, an extra second, and now you have to get back down into an extra gear, and then you have to back up, and it's a pain. So yeah, overshooting pit box, not what I suggest doing.
Yeah, definitely not on this one. I think we give everybody just a brief little minute to come round at the moment, because Oliver Turan and Joshua Kona are the registering that they haven't pitted currently. So we'll give this all 25 to go here. They've got to be in very, very soon, unless they've done an absolute stellar fuel-saving mission and managed to keep the car going. They seem to be going considerably faster than the people behind, which is even a little bit more strange for Turan there as well. But he seems to be doing a pretty good job at this moment in time.
I was going to say, I think it's more so because of the light fuel, yeah, and when your car is a lot lighter because you have a lot less fuel in it, and he locks up. Ooh, I'm not sure if he was going to get down to speed in time there. Locked up a little bit coming around that corner. And that's the other thing. You don't use your brakes here at all. Your brakes are really cold when you start coming into the pit lane. So you have to be really careful what you're doing there, and not if you just slam on your brakes, they're not going to stop. You're going to lock up. You're going to have problems very, very fast. So yeah, you kind of. It's funny, I know in the Cup car it's not as drastic because I believe they are ceramic brakes, so they don't need as much heat to work properly. But the brake drums in the older cars, you do have to kind of brake a little hard to start just to get the heat into them, and then you can kind of not necessarily trail brake, but you can brake properly sort of after that once that happens.
I love the terminology of brake properly. I love the fact that we're on an oval and we're asking people to brake, and the only time they do it is when they drop off the track and down into the pit lane, and yet we're expecting them to stop on a dime, and unfortunately it doesn't always work like that. So I think it's quite interesting to see these guys getting these cars to stop at the same time, because it's not an easy feat dropping off that try and then coming down on into the pit lane. We've seen it's not easy at the moment. Derek Cat is still registering as being on the same lap as Carl Griesick behind here, but yet is sitting down in 19th place. A little bit bizarre.
Something might have happened that we didn't see.
I didn't see anything because nothing's popped.
He did have a really long pit stop there.
Yeah, James Lawson has had an incident. James Lawson here did have an incident. And I wonder if this was coming where he got... Oh, he just stopped. Oh, obviously that's what we watched earlier. But he's been in the pits for nearly 7 minutes here. Can't see anything that would make him be in the pits for 7 minutes. Very strange. Very strange there as well. But currently at the moment, according to all timing software that we got, is Carl Griesick out in front in the 27 with Oliver Turan behind in the 002 there, and then Justin Bentley tucked up behind him as well. So we'll see how it all settles down within the next few laps. I'm sure these guys will end up coming back together, but Griesick currently has got a 7.57 second gap currently at the moment. And I think, to be honest, if Derek Cat is down that far, I think he's being used quite well by Griesick here.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely using him to pull himself along, and it looks like, yeah, because Derek Cat, looks like he had almost a minute-long pit stop, so, or just over a minute. So I'm not sure what happened with him there. Something must have gone wrong while he was in there, but yeah, he's definitely utilizing the fact that he is there to kind of pull himself through. And obviously, if you're the number one car and you're in the lead here, you're going to want to have as much of that help as you can, because as soon as, you know, if Derek Cat ends up having to pull off or go into the pits again for any other reason, well, now he's left all by himself, and they're going to be coming fast, and he's not going to be able to defend them. So this is basically helping him maintain some form of a lead, and he's going to have to hope it holds up. If, you know, Persini, Turan, Bentley, and Harcum can kind of get together, start really pushing together, they should be able to outmuscle the draft duo that these two are kind of creating, and sort of force their way to catch back up here.
Yeah, I think Cat and Griesick, though, are working together in a way where Griesick is the following car. He's not showing the signs of what we're seeing after this as well. If we have a look back, Matt Perezzini, he's kind of got Turan behind him, and who's got Bentley behind that as well. But that squirreliness there that we're seeing within this pack of Turan going up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, if anything out in front currently between Carl Griesick and Derek Cat here, that they're actually maintaining the gap to around about 7.5, 7.6 seconds here. So if these two manage to keep together, there's no reason why they can't actually keep pushing. And as I say that, Griesick runs on the outside. But in general, you know, this pack's doing quite well. Now, further back on that, my boy John Campbell with Keith Hanlon and Joshua Kona are in another little free back. And then we've got Al Corey, Zach Doust and Ryan Traver, who've moved up from the back end of the field currently, and are currently now down in 15th, 16th, 17th place with John Creedler there behind them. Of course, behind that is Derek Cat, of course, but he's at the front pushing with Griesick and maintaining that gap out. They are coming down. They've just lost 3 tenths over that last bit of the lap, but they have got 19 to go, so it's going to be very, very close here. I don't think it's going to benefit Griesick going out and trying to run this on his own. I think at the end of the day it'll be crazy to try, because at the end, if Derek Cat's not as fast as he clearly isn't showing at the moment, Griesick is going to end up back into that pack in no time. So from his point of view, he's got to try and push Cat along, or give him some advice, or do something with him here to try and help him, because they are losing time. It's now down to 6.8 all of a sudden, which seems bizarre considering it was maintaining at around about 7.6.
Yeah, and then you could see it though, like right there, they're not sticking to a lane. They keep going up and then down, and obviously when you go up onto a corner and then you have to come back down, it's not going to hold as well. So doing this kind of in between lane stuff is not going to be beneficial. And then yeah, Griesick seems to be kind of going to the outside. And again, that's going to, instead of him getting any form of a draft by being that halfway over, he's now taking some of the wind that's getting pushed off of Cat and having it hit dead onto the front of his car, which is then going to go over and hit his, it's going to cause more wind for him to cut through opposed to staying directly behind him, in which case then Derek Cat is cutting the wind for him. So this little bit of squirreliness and not kind of staying in a lane and sort of drifting up and down, it's going to hinder them. And you can see it's already gone from 7.5 seconds 2 laps ago, and they're already down to 5.5. So it does also really help that Persini, Turin, Bentley, Hargop, like they're in a bigger group. You can create more speed and have a little bit more pushing with more cars, whereas just having 2 does make it a little harder in comparison to you have 4 or 5 working together.
Yeah, Grizik has got to be sat here thinking, what am I going to do here? He's either going to end up joining the pack and trying to hope for the run to the line, or he's got to try something. I don't know what he's got to try here to try and maintain it or push, but he can't sit too long. I think Cat, as much as they're trying to work together, I think from his point of view, he's in the politest possible word, he's slowing down. Whether that's due to the fact that there's only 2 and then we've got the group of 10 behind, as you can see them all here currently at the moment: Perezzini, Turan, Kashishian, Crutchley, Bentley, Harkin, Barton, Hamilton, Fate, Campbell. No, Fate is the last one in the queue, and even he's dropping off slightly at the minute with Hamilton there as well. Dustin Barton and John Barton. Be interested to know if they're the Barton brothers or son and dad.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Would be interesting to know. But now Perezzini up front of this pack, pushing like an absolute trooper, and the gap's down to 4.4 with 15 to go here. We've gone the whole race without 1 yellow at the moment, and touch wood as I bang on my desk here, hoping that it doesn't end up. But let's see, 15 to go. Can Grizik hold on? Can Cat get him along? That's going to be the question, I think, for everybody. Zach Doust is still now in a pack of 5. These guys are rotating round currently. Doust, Trevor, Creedler, Corey are the 4. The Corey at the end there, car number 45. This is about 18th, 17th, 16th and 15th respectively. Beyond that, we've got Kona here with Keith Hanlon and Campbell in front of them, and then Fate is just nearly off the back end of the pack, so it's now down to 3.4. The peloton is closing on the leaders, to use a Tour de France reference there.
There's something not a lot of Americans are going to get. The Tour de France, not super popular over in the States. But yes, the gap's closing fast, and you can see it's there. It's just having those extra cars, and that's not what you want, as that's going to cause him a big problem. He also does have front end damage, it looks like now. I'm not sure if that was from this or if that was from earlier, but yeah, he's in trouble now. Like, this is going to be...
Oh, it's closing.
It's already dropped to less than a second. Like, it was instantaneous. And they're going to go around him, and the problem for him now is going to be he's going to have to try and catch the end of it, of this little line. Otherwise, he's going to get really blown out, because if he can't get speed, like you can see, he's just out. Like, he's going to have to hope he can tuck behind, I believe, the 11 there of Fiat. If he can't, it's just going to, chew him up, spit him out the back end there. So, and you can see he's trying, and he's gotten a little bit of the slipstream, but he might not have had enough speed to stick it. We'll see how he plays, but I think that'll be kind of the ending of his good chance, unless something happens. But I think, that's kind of, they've chewed him up, spit him out, and out the back he went. Rather unfortunately, he was having fantastic racing. He was working with Cat very well, but it's just overwhelming power that the rest of these cars have with a big lane. Yeah,
look at the speed, 292, 315.
Yeah.
Perezzini is unfortunately there for Grizik. That one moment, if that contact there has caused a problem, then Grizik is going to be into the pack with Campbell, Kona and Handler very, very soon. It's interesting to know that Doust's group are catching the group in front. It's now down 12 to go with it's down 4 seconds. That this group are slowly catching up to the group in front. Harcum making a bit of a wiggle through as well. So Ben Harcum in there in the 78, of course, is sat as well. 12 to go. I cannot believe they've gone the whole race without one yellow.
Quite impressive. It's in Talladega. I mean, I ran a couple of races here last week when it was Dega week across most of the oval, I guess, vehicles, and I don't think I went an entire like 10 laps without a yellow flag half the time, it seemed like. So it's fantastic driving from them to keep these cars sort of under control. I mean, we did have that little incident in the pit lane, but obviously that's not going to cause a yellow on track. So.
And the interesting thing for me is I was watching a top split NASCAR Cup series the other day, I was trying to tune the overlay to what I wanted it to do and get working, and I witnessed for a top split, right, at Dover, mind you, they had 6 cautions by lap 25. Oof. And it was a 110 lap race.
Yeah,
they're still there.
Yeah,
they're still going.
Yeah, they're still going. Eh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know the saying, yellows breed yellows,
oh,
and in oval racing, it's even more of a thing. I mean,
painful.
Obviously, like road courses, you're not going to have as much of an issue with it because one safety car tends to not cause too many issues, but unless you're in Australia, apparently, then one yellow causes the whole world to end. That was ridiculous in the F1 race, but in oval racing, yeah, yellows breed yellows, and it's very, very easy to see when it starts to happen and when things start going sideways and things. They tend to, if it goes sideways, it goes sideways very quick.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, I was trying to resolve numbers on the tower, and I was having a bit of a tower issue at the time that I was trying to program in and get dialed in. And of course, you haven't seen it yet this evening, but the tower does something wonderful under a yellow. And the problem is when there was so many cautions, it kept doing it. So I couldn't see if my changes were doing anything because I couldn't see the tower long enough because they were going on, and about 30 seconds later it would do it again, and I'm like, okay, this is getting slightly annoying, boys. You know, your top split, there was like a 7.5k driver in this split, and it was just going completely wrong. But the interesting thing about it was they'd only made one split, so the lowest driver was on 798 IR in the split with a 7.9k, I think he was, or something ridiculous along them lines. And it was just yellow, 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 yellow. In the end, I gave up. I come out. I was like, I'm never going to get done what I want to get done in this session because it was just yellow, 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 yellow. And I just felt, right, I've got to find something else here to try and get this to work because I can't sit in this session any longer. So, touch wood, guys, you might not see what the timing tower does on the left-hand side when it goes to a yellow flag because these guys are doing an absolute superb job here trying to keep these cars on track, and they are, touch wood, doing an amazing job at the moment. Oh, where are you going? The 68 of John Barton just seems to be sat in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going to say the Barton brothers because one's from Canada and one's from America, so unless there's been something going on. And they've registered under the wrong flag. Oh, it's all getting squirrely now, Kevin. They're all kind of getting in position, aren't they?
Yeah, they're starting to kind of find their spot that they think they can make their move from. Like, I know, obviously, guys are trying to follow and push and sort of get their space that they need so they can make a move. And we got 7 laps to go, and this is when you're going to start seeing guys put a little extra, take a couple extra seconds of, I guess, aggression into the lap and try and pull or push their way to a spot they need to be a little bit more. They're not going to be quite so, oh yeah, I'll just give him some space. It's going to be, no, you're not taking that space. So it's now is when we start to get a little bit more hairy.
And the interesting thing as well is the Hanlon group that we were talking about so much earlier on with Zach Dowse, of course, in it. They've now managed to catch up to the group in front of them. So this group is now 8 cars strong. 2, 4, 6, 8 cars. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 cars strong, sorry, here as well. So these guys are moving and starting to get a little bit more emphasis on their moves. Now, whether or not they're going to pull the 15-second gap in up front, I can't see that, and that's not me being pedantic or rude or derogatory to the drivers. Just unfortunately 15 seconds is a long old time with 5 to go here. So 5 to go at Dega, and they've got 18th place in front of them, which is Kyle Grzyk. He's dropped all the way down to 18th and is just about to be lapped. Grzyk is going to be gutted from the lead to the back end in one little incident, and that must have been the slightest little touch there that he caught on the back of Cat, because you saw what he did on the front. Now I'm going to presume that was where the damage came from. I didn't see Grzyk get himself involved in anything else, and I didn't recognize the damage earlier on, partly because he was still flying along at over 300 kilometers an hour.
And that's I mean, it's an unfortunate way to go, because yeah, he was running really well, but yeah, one small mistake, and it's kind of the hard part with ovals is one mistake can lead to the end of your day very quickly if it doesn't quite happen the way you want it to. So, and obviously
they're moving, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
It's getting a little bit hairy in this front pack of Harkin, Kikishishian, Perezzini, Barton, Turan, Barton, Bentley, Crouchley, and Fate on the back there. Grzyk on the outside line. There's no reason he should end up getting collected by this pack. The best thing about it for him is he could just sit on the back end and let them tow him round, to be fair. That's probably Grzyk's best move, but it depends on what top speed-wise he's currently doing. These guys are racking out over. Oh, there we go. Big one there. There's the timing tower animation we were talking about. And now we are under yellow, 3 to go. 3 to go. And that was the move that we saw coming. And it was all in the front pack, I believe. It wasn't in that backpack. I don't think it was in that. It wasn't in that backpack.
Nope, it was, yeah, it looked like Parisian got himself tied up with somebody and sent around. I'm not sure what happened. Perezzini, sorry, yeah.
Yes, tapped by the 002. And up he goes. Oh.
Literally up, and he goes Barton there as well.
Yeah, the 002 Turan there. Oliver Turan probably got to look at a little bit of responsibility on that one. 3 to go on the yellow. This is where it's going to get even more exciting, because everybody's going to come back together.
Yeah, and if thankfully they have that fast repair, so any damage they got, they should be able to quickly come in, get it fixed, and get back out. And I mean, in reality, I guess it depends how much fuel you have, because there's 2 possible green and white checkered, so this could get a little interesting too.
Depending when, obviously, they're able to go in. They almost made it. Almost, Kellen. The whole
Ready
race.
to go, yeah.
Yeah, almost.
It's impressive, for sure, to make it almost, yeah, what, 66 laps without a flag?
66 under 1 green. People have dived in. Turan, Barton, Perezzini, Dowse, Trevor, Handlin, Cat's in, Cooper's in. So I'm not, this is where these moments where I sit back and think, I don't think I could go in knowing that there's only 3 to go. You know, Grzyk there's going to get the wave around. He's off as well, so in 18th currently at the moment. But I can't justify going into the pits this late on. Unless I was desperate for fuel, really, really desperate, I don't think I could go in. I think I'd have to just sit and chill.
Yeah, and I mean, for a couple of guys, it's going to be damaged, just trying to get it repaired as best they can. I mean, yeah, there's a good chance it takes you out of contention for a win or anything, but you're still going to want to at least have a car that can sort of.
Yeah, I just
Push.
want to see if we can look at John Barton. I believe it was John Barton that went up in the air, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the buttons for sure.
Was it John Barton going up?
Yeah, it was the
here we go.
68 there.
Goes up as well, off the
I guess,
wall.
yeah, when he kinda hits the wall.
Oh, look at that from his point of view.
Landed it quite nicely though.
Did a
The
stellar
skid
job.
gets right back going. didn't even chase the wrong way for very long.
Yeah, not entirely sure I would have been wanting to be involved in that one, but there we go.
Nope.
So the lights are still on the pace car. We've got 3 to go here. 2 green-white checkers. And a couple of people have pitted. From about down in Oliver Turan, down in 11th onwards, has pitted. So this is going to be just a manic 3 laps here. Can we make it to the end? Can they get to the end, Kenton? That's the question. Joshua, I still have a chance, he says.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes. Yeah.
I think
at the moment, am I going blind here? Where is he?
I honestly can't see.
Oh, he's there in 9th place.
There you go.
Come on, Josh. You got to get John Campbell with you, though, because John's my boy. He's the one I picked for the win.
My chance at the win just got ruined, so.
Well, he didn't get ruined. Oliver Turan may have had something to do with that. So, you know.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Not ideal, but we're see here as well. 3 to go. Now, if Josh feels he's got a chance, he's down in 9th at the moment. What does that say about his mentality at the moment? He's just going to kind of go for it, or it's just going to rush to the front? What's the situation here for Josh in 9th place currently?
Hope for the second in green and white checkered, and the front group takes itself out.
Now, I don't think though necessarily that this would be the first one, because was we not still under racing circumstances at the moment they went to yellow?
I think it would count as the first green white checkered, because otherwise they would have finished by now.
It was only on lap 65. Yeah, maybe they have, because as I say,
yeah, it says the race
still says 3 to go.
And yeah, in the little chat, the race will be extended for a green-white checkered finish, is what is being called. So.
Okay, well, here we go then. Pace car's going to be in. And we're going to be going. Oh, I just always, I'll try. God, just let me know how you get on. I'll keep an eye out, bud. But here we go. Sid Kashishian is currently the lead driver, right beside Ben Harcombe, Dustin Barton, Justin Bentley, John Crutchley, David Felt, Ileana Hamilton, Al Corey, Joshua Kona. Let's see how this works out. 3 to go. We're going to be back racing very, very shortly. Into the Geico restart zone we go. And we're underway. We are underway. Sid Kashishian's trying to get a jump here currently at the moment. 13 of Barton behind him. That's Dustin Barton tucked up right behind him. Trying to push forward. There's 78 as well. He got the jump there, but can he hold it? That's going to be the question.
You got too much of a jump. You don't want to have that much space when you're fighting for the lead there off the restart, because once you do that, you have no one to help push you, and the cars behind have it.
Oh, they're very wide.
That's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you get too much of a gap off the restart, you lose out on everything that is, you know, your momentum, and the cars behind you with someone pushing them are going to blow right past you, and that's what happened. Now he's already down into 5th place. Oh, that's an interesting little block that he just pulled there. Yeah. That'll probably get a look at or two.
Yeah, but the problem is he didn't put himself in any prime position by making that block. He lost more positions than he gained there. We're now going to be running 3 wide. We're now going to be...
And we're on the final lap, so there will not be another green-white checkered. We are going green no matter what happens now, so they got to be careful because that can kind of ruin a lot real fast.
Yeah, here we go. There's movements in the middle. They're coming round. 3 banks. Kona's it. No, he's gone.
Oh, there goes one.
Ew, the front group's
There's
still
another
running.
contact up in the head. And there's a big crash going on in the back.
Right, here we go. How are we going to see what
Contact
happens?
there again.
Oh, no. They're maintaining it. Oh, it was Crutchley took it, I think.
Oh, that's up there with that's a way to finish that. Yep.
Crutchley took the win from Harkham, from Hamilton. I have to have a look back at that final lap.
Or Hamilton can't seem to win in F1 and NASCAR now.
Ooh, ouch. Rude. You can have a look here as they come across the line. Wow, they even went too quick for me.
Yeah, that's they're
motoring along there.
I don't know if you caught that, but Parisian had a car on top of him while he finished.
I did not catch that one. Did you not see how fast they come across the line?
I did, but yeah, right there. You can see it. So if you right there.
Wow.
That's that's one way to cross the finish line, I guess. And one going back.
There he is.
Oh man.
That's the 117 there. That's my boy John Campbell. Finished above on Parisian's head. But there we go. What an ending. I made it through the wreck. You did. Josh, you finished in 8th place there, bud. Stellar job. I love the fact that they come in and I made it.
I survived. It was a good wreck too.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
So there are the results on the bottom of your screen. Crutchley, Harkham, Hamilton are your top 3 with Turan, Feet, Campbell, Parisini, Kona 8th place, Kashishian 9th, Barton 10th, Corey in 11th, Griesick 12th, Barton 13th, Bentley 14th as well. And we will give it up on your screen so you can read it as well if you feel. So Hanlon, Trevor, Doust, Cooper there as well. And then beyond that, we've got Creedler, Merritt, Lawson, and Bramble was the final finisher. But you gotta think about the fact that that was just incredible there of an ending, and you know, it's not every day you get a car on your head, I suppose.
Hopefully not, at least. If it is an everyday occurrence, I have many questions for you. But yes, that's definitely a very spectacular way to finish. He finished on 2 tires on concrete, and I think like right after they crossed the start finish line there, he was completely on top. So it's a way to go, I guess. I think he technically finishes ahead as well.
I'm not entirely sure that would have been the best way. Not gonna lie, I kind of feel there might have been other ways that they could have finished that, but that was just a general close one there for these guys. So, but you know, hey, look, they finished. That's all that kind of matters at the moment, I think, and one that is, you know, quite impressive to sit back and watch. I gotta be honest, it was a great ending, but not in an ideal kind of way, you know. But hey, we did say that there could be a few incidents and accidents there, but overall was unbelievable. Let's pull. Is Crutchley here? Can I get hold of Crutchley? No, I cannot. Here as well. Crutchley, can I get hold of Ben Harkham? Yeah, let's pull Ben I'll put him in the stream room so he's prepared. He's going to be coming in to the booth with us. Ben, welcome in. How are you, sir?
Good. How about you?
I'm not bad. Not bad at all. I've just witnessed an incredible ending, I think, to an incredible race. You know, we were talking about it up in the booth. 65 laps without a yellow, and then they come kind of, you managed to almost make it to the end there. Did you think you could?
It was a wild race, that was for sure. I thought my race was done when I spun coming on that pit road there during the green flag pit stops. I thought I was done there, but I kept her going.
And as we know, to be honest with you, anything can happen. So keeping going was probably the best thing for you, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, onwards and upwards, sir, there as well, you know. How do you think your season's been? How do you think it's going to go? What's the prediction for yourself, of course?
I'm pretty confident for the rest of the season. Sitting fourth in points right now. Feeling pretty good.
Yep. Well, Ben, congratulations on your second place there. So well done to you. It was by about 1,000th of a second that you...
Yes, that was very close.
Yes, very was indeed. But well done, sir. And thank you so much for joining us. And maybe we'll catch up with you soon as the season goes on.
Looking forward to it.
Take care. Well, there you go there. He seems okay. He's currently sitting fourth in the standards on 2:15. You see the results going down the bottom of your screen there, guys, as well. Just as I got squished in between all of them. And Derek, man, that black flag killed me. Went from near the front to a lap down. Yeah, we did see there. Can you confirm, actually, Derek, did you get hit by Grizik? Because that would be an interesting thing to talk about. But I want to have a catch-up with Matt Perezzini, if he's ready and willing to jump in to the booth with us. Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you very much. I've just witnessed two amazing things that I don't think I've ever seen before. One was the fact that you were involved in the wreck that caused the caution to come out on lap 65. And the second one was the fact that you finished with a car on top of you.
Yeah, I had to put on a show for the fans, I guess. You know, coming in here as the points leader, Talladega is always one of those tracks where you think, and to come out of here with a seventh, I'm happy, very happy, and actually extended my points lead, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, I think that was probably the main part of it, wasn't it? Just trying to basically extend the points and not, you know, get involved with anything crazy. Obviously, at the time of the wreck, did you actually think you were going to be in seventh? Because obviously, a wreck like that, not right near the end, could have put the end to your race.
Oh yeah, I mean, I figured once Ollie got into my back bumper there and turned me around, I thought, well, here we go. We're going to be relegated to a 17th, 18th place finish, and the green flag come out with that 2 to go, and I just stayed on the bottom, and everybody else just kind of drifted up, and I kept my foot to the floor, and the next thing you know, I was passing cars, and we were doing real good there, and then coming to the checker in 3-4, a couple of guys got together and bounced off me, and I thought, well, that's kind of bad. And then they started wrecking in front of me, and well, I wasn't going to lift.
Yeah, I'm guessing you didn't, because for poor John Campbell, he ended up on your hood.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I was like, I saw JC Cohen, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep my foot to the floor, and I'll help him get sixth.
Well, there you go. It was almost like watching the Lightning McQueen movie where he's pushing King across the finish line there, to be honest with you.
it was, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great that we had that kind of green flag. I mean, we made it just about to the end of the race green, which is awesome for Talladega. It's a great bunch of guys, great league. Real happy to come out of here with not hurting my points lead, and hopefully we can hold on to it till the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely incredible there as well. Well done, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us there, bud. And maybe we'll catch up with you soon as the season goes on.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you broadcasting for us.
No worries. Take care. Right, now we have got Josh in the waiting room. Josh did say he would come in and have a chat with us. The man who planned on going from 9th to the win and then finished 8th in the end, Josh. Little bit unfortunate for you, sir. A little bit of a tough run, to be honest. Did you really think you were going to get through them all?
I was hoping. I mean, I'm trying to think what lap it was. I hit that wall for a second, and I was bouncing back. And I think me and Oliver had a strategy for a bit, and then kind of just lost it. And we were first and second for a little bit until we had to pit.
But it was a tough race overall. It must have been an interesting thought process going in because you were sitting 65 laps on green. Was it expected that you might have got all the way to the end?
I was hoping. I mean, it was. I wasn't expecting it to go that many laps without cautions. I mean, it's Dega, and I mean anything can happen here.
Yeah, I don't think we expected it to go that far. I've got to be honest. You know what I mean? I didn't even get. It was only that last yellow where I got to show off my fancy transition on the tower for you. But at the end of the day, it must have felt good being able to go that long. It just goes to show that obviously you can keep up with the pace at the front with the guys as well. It's an interesting season overall, I think, here as well, Josh. What is your plans for the season currently?
My current, just keep on going. Just keep on trucking as much as we can. There's a lot of talent here in this league. And, I mean, as much as I can grow off them and keep on going and keep on learning as much as I can also.
Yeah, you're currently down in 16th in the standings there as well, young sir. But thank you so much for joining us, Josh. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I want to give a shout out to everybody in the league, actually. Myzik, everybody. I mean, they put on a great show here for the league, and so does Al. I mean, I love driving with these guys. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Josh, thanks so much for joining us. And unlucky, but I suppose lucky as well because you finished 8th.
Exactly. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
You too.
Well, there you go. There, Josh coming into the booth with us as well. I do want to try and I was trying to see something as well. But Kenan, overall, not a bad race. 65 laps of green. And then, of course, we had the cars coming across the line on top of each other.
Yeah, it was, a tale of two totally different situations. Completely green, nice and smooth, no problems. And then people on top of each other and cars going backwards and a little different. But, it was a fantastic race. Lots of fun and definitely kept a very exciting time with all the lap changes and obviously having that one pit stop and everyone coming in for that. And we even had some fun pit lane problems. So it was a good overall race for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think that kind of what makes the racing, I think, here as well is just obviously it was great because they almost got to the end and they almost got there and then they just didn't quite make it. So unfortunately for these guys, they did go lap 65 without a caution there as well. So well done to them. Derek oh, that was Kyle on my screen. We had space the entire time and he crumbles, I guess, on his... He somehow ended up underneath my booty. Yeah, we're not entirely sure what happened there, Derek. All of a sudden, he just kind of got a crumpled front end and then dropped down right the way down the order very, very quickly. So, unfortunately for Carl Griesick, there was a bit of an unfortunate one. But there you go, guys. That is the end of another Triple Bypass Racing Gen 4 Cup race from myself and Kenton Sportec up in the booth here for JPB. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching back, give the video a big old thumbs up. That would be absolutely amazing. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We broke the 1K barrier today, so pushing onwards and upwards. But from myself, guys, and Kenton Sportec here as well, as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.